try and keep it quick. Just took a short vacation, which was way overdue, and now getting back into the swing of things. I looked at my iPhone this morning and I had like 247 unread emails. I'm like, that might take me a minute to get through. So first of all, I hope everyone's doing well. Hope you guys are keeping out of trouble as best you can. Be gone, fly. Look at these damn flies come into my truck. Anyway, last night or yesterday, it was late yesterday for us, Turkey got hit with a massive earthquake. One of the guys in my veterans group posted that in the group, and lo and behold, I went and checked the website he gave us, and it appears they've had multiple earthquakes over the last 24 hours. So they had the big one, and then they had a bunch of aftershocks. The aftershocks are in the 4 and 5 category. I don't know what the big one was rated. Some of you may have already seen it, but apparently it was flattening buildings. Hey, Corso, what's going on? There's a lot of incidents lately that involve, hey, Dan, thank you, that involve natural disasters, right? They involve, you know, we had the flooding in Texas, as you all recall, where I lost my friend. You know, we had this earthquake in Russia followed by the tsunami alerts. Wasn't as bad as everyone thought it would be. Hey, farmer, what's going on? There was also, again, now this earthquake in Turkey. And of course, we've got fires in California, fires in Canada. And I'm sure a lot of them have to do, hey, Loretta, and anyone I missed, a lot of them have to do with nature, but I'm sure some were man-made too. Especially in California, I think they're trying to push a narrative by creating climate disasters and then saying, oh, look, the climate, hey, Hudson, what's going on? But it's really not the climate, it's asshole people. Not all of them, though. I know a lot of them are lightning strikes or, what do you call the power? Because it's very windy in those parts of California. The power lines will strike. And no worries. I appreciate it. Hey, Loretta. No, I sure will. There's a lot going on. When I took my vacation, you know, we were going to be down by the coast here in Texas. So I not only checked the weather here with the day we left, I checked the weather in the city. We stopped over. We hit San Antonio on the way there. I'm sorry. We hit Austin on the way there, San Antonio on the way back. And we stayed at Corpus. So I checked the weather for the week down there as well. Hey, Billy. In general, folks, it's important, keep your notifications on. If you have one of those emergency radios, most of them that I see have a setting called alert. It's like a little button. And what it does, it remains quiet. It just sits there plugged in. But the minute they do a weather alert, the one that you normally see on TV with the bam, 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 you're going to get it on the radio. And sometimes they'll go off at 2 in the morning, scare the crap out of you. But if you know there's some kind of weather coming, it's a good thing to have. Even though they're a pain in the butt, I would enable alerts on your cell phones. You keep the alert setting on your radio on. And in general, check the weather. I think a lot of these things that are happening, again, the earthquake is really hard to predict, right? It's just boom, earthquake. But like the flooding, some of the other stuff, the fires, that people waited too long before they evacuated from some of these California fires. And they either lost their homes or they were fatalities, or they lost a pet. It's because people aren't paying attention and they don't have a plan. For instance, if you had to evacuate your house, do you know which direction is best to go in? Hey, Cobra. Do you know a safe place to stay for the night? You know, it wouldn't hurt to even have maybe an app for Holiday Inn or, you know, some other hotel. A Holiday Inn just popped in my head. Where if you were at 2 a.m. and it's like you got to evacuate and you got to go now, you can flip open the app, you know, reserve a room in the next city over, grab the important stuff, grab the pets, the kids, and out the door. And at least know you have a destination. So if you get to a roadblock, they're like, where are you going? Oh, I have a room at the Holiday Inn. I have a room at the Super 8, whatever it is. Folks don't think about that. And when they're traveling, they don't check the weather where they're going to be. Sadly, my friends who are very outdoorsy may have made that mistake during the Texas floods. I get the impression they went there, they went there to have a good time, and the weather was nice when they left. The people at the lake and at the rivers didn't check the weather while they were there. Also, that camp that lost the little girls did not have a very effective evacuation plan. They didn't have anyone standing watch duty all night, and the other camps did. They had someone who was one of the counselors. They were in shifts walking the property at night. So in the event something happened, there was someone physically awake to start waking other people up, sounding the alarm. Being aware of what's going on around you is huge. And again, we can't predict everything, right? You can't predict an earthquake because there's no physical signs until the earthquake happens. But tornadoes typically go with a thunderstorm, right? They go with bad weather. They go with high winds. So you watch for things like that. Hurricanes are very massive and destructive, but very slow moving compared to other disasters. You watch it. You see where it's going. You should also define trigger points. We used to do that when we lived in Houston. If a storm was over Cat 4 and was going to hit us at a certain angle, I knew we'd be on the dirty side of the hurricane, which is the eastward side if you're in the Gulf. I knew, okay, we need to probably either really hunker down or bail out. Hey, Coyote. We're seeing a lot of folks don't have a plan, and so then they're improvising. They don't pay attention to the fires, the flooding. So when things happen, it's basically they're barely getting out. And again, you can't predict everything. But as I've said before, I'm an engineer. I'm kind of a numbers guy in that respect. The more things you do that put the odds in your favor, the better off you and your family are. And if you take anything away from this short live stream, it's even little things add up. So you have a get-home bag in your truck, good. You've got your animals crate trained and you have harnesses for them if you need to take them, great. You've taught your kids how to react in a blackout, great. You take your kids camping or your family camping, they know how to work the camping stove if the power and everything goes down, great. All of those little things add up to something greater, you know what I mean? So a lot of people say, oh, I don't even bother with that because, that one thing doesn't matter. Having a camping stove doesn't matter. Having a flashlight doesn't matter, which I think is stupid. The flashlight just day to day is important. They scoff at the little steps that people can take in advance, but when something happens, all those little steps add up in a positive direction. They all go in your favor. And again, a lot of it is going to be about awareness of what's happening around you. The flooding, the storms, even the earthquakes. Like my daughter moved to California, right, for her fiance's work. And they live outside of the city. They live in the mountains, which is good, but that's a fire risk, and they can get earthquakes. So they've already got a plan. They've got harnesses for the dogs. They know which route to take. They know alternate routes. They're learning the parks in the area. They made friends with the local sheriff's deputies. They're already setting the framework that if something happens, they can either escape quickly or add value to the community while they're there. And again, her being a licensed and experienced surgical tech for animals, and him being a physician, that's a great couple to have in your subdivision, you know what I mean? And they have a retired cop 2 houses down. And he's a relatively young guy, according to her. He's, again, a young empty nester. So right there, you got a doctor, a veterinarian, and a cop. That's a hell of a good group of people to start with in an emergency if something happens to their little town. But they're 2 hours away from the cities, right? So Again, they're already thinking, they're getting familiar with the area and trying to monitor things that could happen so they're not caught off guard. So folks, if you take anything away from this, the little things add up. The little things matter. You go take the time to trade in the 5-gallon water bottles that have been sitting in the garage and get fresh water in them and have them at the garage. Hell, even if they just break the water main in a construction accident, which happens all the time, and you are now on a boil water notice, guess what? You got some water to drink with for you and the family. So again, the little steps mean a lot. Don't overlook them. And remember, 90% of the time, what are you doing, dude? 90% of the time, the little steps are what... This person just stopped smack in the middle of the road. The little steps could make the difference between surviving or not getting hurt versus something bad happening. And take that to heart, right? And also remember, the little steps are also much more affordable. Getting some extra canned food is relatively cheap compared to buying a generator, right? Getting even a small generator or a small power bank like a Jackery or a Bluetti or an Opus is better than having none, and you can buy a small one and build on that. So folks, be careful, be safe, pay attention. There's so many people freaking out right now. There's one guy who all of us like to make fun of up north in the other country, and this guy's scaring the hell out of people. I'm not a fan of that. I think that's a garbage thing to do. You know, I've got links. All the Four Horsemen, by the way, are going to be on my channel tonight. But, you know, we've all got affiliate links. If you need something, you want to support us and you get a good price, great. You know what? If you save 20% going somewhere else, I'm okay with that too. And I'll bet you the Livingston Man, Hudson Valley, and Vision will all say the same thing. If you can save a little money, it's okay. Go save the money at Harbor Freight or wherever. Seeing people get the hell scared out of them so somebody else can sell their crap, it just pisses me off. But anyway, folks, look, do the little things. The natural disasters are not always predictable, but you can set the alerts, have the radio, watch the patterns in your area so you start to understand what does and does happen around you. And then ask yourself, what would I do if this happened today? And you should, in theory, be able to come up with a pretty decent plan pretty quickly in the event you haven't had one yet. So folks, be careful out there. Happy birthday, Loretta. And hey, Billy, all of you, look, the little things matter. Don't freak out. Get familiar with your area. If you haven't taken the time yet, sit down and look at the weather patterns throughout the year. Look at what does and doesn't happen for flooding. Does it flood in your area? What parts of town flood? What are the high grounds? Get to know those areas. Get to know how things happen in where you live. It makes a difference. Remember, little things add up. So don't worry about spending $1,000 on some high-end technology. That's great if you can do it. Worry more about the free stuff, like knowing your area, or the cheap stuff, like buying a $20, $30 emergency radio and sticking one up there. And there's a bunch of them on the market. Anyway, folks, you guys be good, be safe out there. God bless y'all. And I will see everyone tonight at the Four Horsemen, barring anything else from happening. So you guys take care of yourselves.